Hi, everybody. This is a wee bit of alchemy. I'm Rick Barrett. Welcome. Last week, we were talking about different aspect of spirit and how that can be infused into a Taijiquan form. And I'd like to go over that and in a little more depth and possibly cover over some of the stuff that we did. Please excuse me if get redundant on some of this, but I'd like to really make sure that it comes across before we put that in the can and move on. So the idea is that first of all, the spirit we're talking about is your personal spirit. And there are lots of ways to talk about spirit. You know, you can talk about the spirit of the times or team spirit, or we can talk about uh, a spirited horse. And there's lots of ways to talk about it. So uh, I want to really emphasize that the one we're talking about here is your personal spirit. That is that which motivates you to do stuff, that raises your feeling and your sense of I guess there's an awareness moving into more of an insubstantiality, the insubstantial aspects of your being. So if we think about it, we think about, if we think about body, mind, spirit, we think about the body as the most physical, most substantial aspect, the mind being that which is conscious and is processing information, is directing traffic, and then spirit being that which goes beyond that. Everything from your simple intuition to cosmic consciousness. There's your spirit moves and it gets more and more insubstantial. As it does, it becomes less and less defined by your physicality. So the body mind spirit integration, which is what I is the foundation of super consciousness in my language, is uh, we want to be able to regulate the how much of each one is present in a given moment, and that requires opening up to more awareness of your spirit, because that's usually the one that gets the least amount of attention for most people. And to be able to raise your spirit, that's one of the things that the Taiji classics talk about a lot, is you must raise your spirit, and particularly your Jing Shen, your spirit of vitality. And so there, depending on how deep you go into the classics, you're going to find different ideas about that. But one that really attracted my attention was the a Taoist idea that said we are we want to raise, abide, firm, and condense the spirit. And so what that means is first you want to raise the spirit. That is, get more of it infused into your body mind so that you are become more aware that of that insubstantial aspect of your being, where you start to tune into things that go beyond the limits of your rational mind and get you uh, into a state that is you're able to know without thinking. So that's kind of characteristic of that superconscious state, is knowing without thinking. And so you're just able to recognize things and know them without having to without having to do the math on them all. And this is something that is really essential for any kind of performance activity. That is, you want to learn something so thoroughly, you want to become so familiar at it that you just know it, and you don't have to go through the process of like say a musician, of figuring out what the different notes mean as you're playing your tuba. You want to be able to just read that and just go along, and you're then able to process that information instantly, and it's not something that you have to go back and use your thinker bone to make sense of it. Whereas when we start out, when we first learning how to read music, you definitely have to do that. You have to laboriously go through the different process, identify what the notes are, and you get so familiar with them, then you don't have to. And so when we get into that superconscious state, we are knowing without thinking. We are not limited by our rational mind because it's terribly slow for what we're trying to do. So when we raise the spirit, we allow ourselves to process information at a much higher and faster rate than whenever we are locked into our intellectuality, into our rational mind. So the two elements in raising the spirit. One is to have more energy available, more chi available, and circulate it well. Because the more energy is available, the more more easily one can raise the spirit. Because then you feel that abundance of chi, and then you start to identify with that, and then it opens the door to having that even more insubstantial aspects of your being become available. And the other is the location. So one is amplifying the spirit, getting more of it there, and just a note on that. An example of that is like, whenever you have a football team that wants to, they gotta beat state, and so they're in the locker room, and then there's the pep talk from the coach, and there's they get all amped up, and they're jumping up and down, and so they get that, they're raising their spirit. And you can think of the opposite. That is someone who's beaten down by life. They're sick. They lost their job. Their dog died. Whatever. Their spirit is depressed. So so that is the opposite side. So as we raise the spirit, we are amplifying that vitality that we have. The other is the location, and that is we're raising it into the spirit valley in the center of the brain. That is that's in the Taoist idea that you're raising it, and you're using your channels to bring the chi up, particularly your thrusting vessel, your penetrating vessel, and that brings it up up your neck, through the jade pillow gate, and into the spirit valley, where it finds the Niwan Gong, the mud pill palace, which is that space which connects up to your heaven eye, and also the crown point on your head. So so we get that location. So we're raising it into the brain, and so we get that there's a sharpness there, and then you can see it in people's eyes. Whenever someone has a raised spirit, you can see that their eyes have that sparkle to them. There's a twinkle there that if someone has a lowered spirit, there's kind of a beaten down, and they have dull eyes. So we're raising our spirit. So that's the first step of that. Then so once we raise the spirit, and we get that feeling of the expansion, of sometimes elation, and then we abide. That is, you give it a home. You do it, practice it enough so that it becomes familiar to you, and you abide it. That is, you are allowing your spirit to infuse you on a regular basis, so that you become familiar enough with it that you don't freak out from it. And this is a real thing. That is, people oftentimes would come into my class, and they'd be blown out by just the first class, and I'd never see them again. And part of that is that it was just too much. and they could not abide the spirit that came from having that level of coherence or whatever. And so you're learning by familiarity, you're learning to abide the spirit. And then you firm the spirit. So that is, you get it so it is stable. So it's not just something that happens once in a while. It just happens serendipitously. I feel good today. I don't know why, but I just feel good. That's perfectly valid. But what we as martial artists want to do is be able to predictably raise the spirit so that it is there when we need it. And anything that we do in life will be improved by having an enhanced spirit, that you'll be more present, more available, and more just in tune with what's going on around you. So we firm the spirit. That is, we get we've got it so that it's becoming more predictable. That there are more good days than bad days at that point. And then the final thing is to condense the spirit, and that is to bring it to make the insubstantiality, which can be incredibly euphoric, or it can expansive, and we condense it so that it becomes more a part of us. And this is where we embody that spirit. It becomes part of who and what we are. It's a predictable thing. So I'm just describing the arc of the process there, and it happens by basically doing your kung fu with that in mind. If you have that, and you have that idea of raising your spirit in mind, you can then it will follow that arc. Denise Myers wrote a book just released this year called "Swimming in a Sea of Chi," and a lot of it are anecdotes about people that she knows, and a lot of us know, that describe the psychic and spiritual phenomena and events that occur in their lives as coincidentally with their Taijiquan practice. And so this is something that as they go along, this is expected. You expect these weird little events, these things which would kind of be outside of your normal expectations, and they just happen there, and you become so familiar with them that it's like, yeah, of course I can feel my chi, I can see I can feel your chi, and things like that. There's these awarenesses start to become very second nature to you. And so what we did last week is in order to develop this raise, abide, firm, and condense your spirit, we looked at it from perspective of taking three aspects, three of the qualities of spirit, and from the Taoist model, which are Shen, Yi, Hun, Po, and Zhi. So, which are the creative aspect, the most insubstantial part, which is the Shen, the Yi, which is the part of your mind, which is the higher mind, and you can think of it as like a coherent mind, or a part of what I'm calling super consciousness. He has many connotations, and this is just one here in this particular context. Master Yang calls it consciousness, is his way of describing it. So your conscious mind, and then the Hun is your soul. It's the yin aspect of your spirit. Your Po is the body spirit, and this is the part that in that Taoist model, it's the part that part of your spirit that returns to the earth. It is, the most substantial aspect of your spirit. And then the jur is associated with the kidneys, and that is your will, your ability to get it done. And so these are different aspects. And we took the three of those, the Shen, Yi, and Hun. The basically another way Master Yang talks about is the spirit, consciousness, and soul. And we use those with each movement so that each movement is initiated by Shen, which is the part, it's the it's the creative force. You can think of it as like the the Chen of the I Ching, the most yang aspect, and the soul, the Kun, which is the most yin aspect, and all the different variations that happen between, and so we go in the I Ching. It starts off with the polarities of yin and yang, and then goes through its permutations, and then we have 64 trigrams, which express the different aspects of living and consciousness. So we're using that as a model there, and we can develop different levels of spirit depending on how much yin and yang and how much substantial and insubstantial we want to interject into that. So it's not just a fixed thing. It's part of you and the part of you that expresses itself in your life. So when we go through these different movements, we are taking control of the expression of our spirit through our movements. So that we initiate a movement, like say I initiate my arm, and that's the Shen. It goes through, I'm using my I, my consciousness, to do that, and then I get to that finish point there, and I stop and I feel into that, and that's the Hun, that's the soul part, and you feel that, and you eat the chi, and you allow that to nurture that your soul, and so we're raising, abiding, firming, and condensing with each of our movements to the degree that we decide to. That is, it's something that happens by itself just by doing your form. But if you follow this idea and you focus on this aspect, this very insubstantial aspect of your being, then it accelerates the process of doing those 4 steps: raise, abide, firm, and condense. And each time you eat the chi in the Hun part there, then it's like you're filling yourself with something more, something that is beyond the limits of your 5 senses, beyond the limits of your rational mind, and you're tapping into something. And the more insubstantial you get, the more you're able to attune to a lot of the mysteries that are that are present and available to us if only we look. So please stand up, and we're going to do some of the Wudang Tai Yi, just a few movements of that. I thought it'd be a nice way to deal with something a little out of the usual. So stand up, please. Relax. Feel the 3 nails in your feet. One in the heel, one in the ball of your foot, one in the big toe, on each foot along the medial line. And feel into the heel nail. And allow your weight to settle into that. And feel the support that your feet are giving you, and relax and let go of any extraneous muscular tension. In this way, we do that. The first thing we do for raising the spirit, and that is to access the big chi. we're accessing the earth chi through our feet. And by getting more and more sung, more and more relaxed and settled into our structure there, we allow the chi to move unrestrained. Allow the energy to circulate throughout your body. Now reach up with the crown of your head, tuck in your chin, and open the jade pillow gate. You can also feel this heaven eye point here, the third eye, your upper dantian. And you can make a triangle between that and the crown point and the jade pillow gate. And you can imagine a triangle there connecting those up with the Ni Wan Gong right in the center of that. What this does is it accesses the yang qi of the heavens. And by opening up that jade pillow gate, you allow your Jing Shen to rise and to fill your Ni Wan Gong. And so we're doing something that we've talked about before, and that is there's an expression called Shu Ling Ding Jin, which means that a lively, insubstantial energy lifts the crown of the head. And so you want to feel simultaneously that you're being pulled up and also that you're reaching up. So you got both those things going on as you're kind of finding that sweet spot where your head feels like it's floating. And you get that, and you'll start to feel a little more lightheaded, maybe. And this is a sign that the spirit is rising. It's filling your Ni Wan Gong. And so we have these two poles here, your feet, which are anchoring into the substantiality of the earth. And we have the Shu Ling Ding Jin that is raising the spirit of vitality, tapping into the yang qi of the heavens. We're feeling that spirit there as we do that. Relax your lower back, drop your sacrum. Now, go into the balls of your feet, press down with the big toes, and feel that infusion of yang qi as you do that. Point and reach with your index fingers and feel the energetic coherence. And so what this does is it further creates a state of wholeness that allows you to tap into the spirit. The more coherent you are, the more you're able to resonate with other coherent things. Reach with your elbows and open up your shoulder joints. We're unkinking the hose here in the shoulders. And then spiral down to the left, spiral down to the right, releasing your hip joints, your qua. So getting sung qua. We're relaxing down and sitting down in our legs. So this allows the energy to flow more freely. So feel into your hun, your soul, that just feel the allowing that qi to become more familiar, more acceptable, just accept, take it in. You're digesting that. You're eating the qi. And this is filling your hun. The first part of that form that I want to do, I'm going to do it facing you. Here you're sinking the balls of your feet, and then reach up with your wrists and rotate your forearms. So we're feeling that we're creating a wholeness. And feel gathering, allowing the energy to circulate, allowing the spirit to amplify. Now sink a little bit and rotate your forearms so the palms face out. So, and here you want to reach with your elbows, open your shoulder joints, feel your fingers, your index fingers, feel that coherence from that. And so here we have simultaneously there's a expansiveness. Feel that you're opening up without moving. At the same time, there's a contracting, there's a pulling in, and you're there right at the boundary point between the going out and the going in. And then we go and we very slowly reach with the elbows and pull the arms across. This is called the separating the yin and yang. So we're feel like you're stretching rubber bands between your fingers as you're going up and opening. Feel that expansiveness there. Yeah. And bring your arms down. And sink into your heels and eat the chi. Good. Now let's do it using the Shen Yi Hun. So go into the balls of your feet, reach with your wrists. So now this is the Shen part. Feel you're initiating. This is the creative element. Now we move to the E. The arms are moving, executing, and you reach with your fingers. And then hold that. And that's the Hun. So we're here and we're gathering. Just feel that you're receiving. This is the receptive part. You're taking in the energy and allowing it to condense. And rotate your forearms and feel that posture. Yes. And sink into your heels. Rotate your forearms. So this is the Shen E. We rotate and feel the Hun. We gather that energy. Feel it in your arms, shoulders. Open your back. Yeah. Now that we have the Shen, we initiate and start, and then E, consciousness, your awareness of what's going on here, and then you're reaching out, Hun, and feel that. Eat the chi. And sink into your heels, reach down with your elbows, your wrists, fingers, and feel the Hun there. Allow yourself to really digest, integrate the energy that was just created. Step in. The balls of your feet. Hands come up. Deep breath. Press down with the toes, and then exhale and sink into your heels. And pause a moment and feel the Hun. Okay, now I'm going to turn my back to you, and we're going to expand that into a bit more here. So step out and Shen, sink, initiate, and then raise your arms, reach with the wrists, the fingers, round, your arms are rounded, reach with your elbows, and feel the Hun gather. And then Shen, sink in your heels, rotate your forearms, E, and expand. Feel that Hun. And Shen, reach with your elbows, separate. Feel your fingers pulling as if you're stretching filaments between your fingers. E. Reach. Hun. Okay, we've separated yin and yang. And now E, you're going to rotate, circle your arms. Feel that E and Hun. And then so you get your left foot and turn. Shen, hand comes down, foot comes back, and open. Feel Shen, step, and E, turn, Hun. Feel the yang of your right hand, the yin of your left. Feel your connection with the earth. Reach with the crown of your head. Feel all that. Allow that to fill. Feed that chi. And then pivot on your left heel, turn, set your knee, and Shen, Yi, Hun. Shen. Sink into your right leg, turn. Right hand comes up, left hand down. Bring your left foot in. Hun. Feel the unique way this body posture expresses its energy and circulates throughout the whole system. Shen. Step and rotate your left hand. Left hand is yang, right hand is yin. Feel the hun. Shen, sink it to your right. Yi, hun. Really open your arms, open your shoulders. Feel the connection to the earth. Shen, Yi, Shen, Yi, hun. 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 Shen, step in. Yi, hun. Shen, Yi. Press down. Hun. Notice all the little sensations that you might not have a name for. at various levels of substantiality. Some physical, some energetic, some beyond that. Sink in your right foot, step in. Shen, Yi, Hun. Feel that yang from the balls of your feet, press down with the big toes. Feel that yang expansion. And then heels, Shen, Yi. Hun. Empty out. Dissolve as much of the substantiality as you can. And really just identify with the insubstantial. You want to go first, Nick?
Sure. Yeah, I have had little glimpses in the past of this sort of sensation where the energetic field around my body begins to take on a density that it's both warm and soft and solid at the same time. And I was wearing like 8 iron energetic bands that weighed substantial amounts on both. I mean, they're still there. It was the most palpable. I mean, I actually found myself sort of taking a look to see what was on my arm.
What the hell's going on here?
What the heck is it? Yeah. That was pretty an interesting experience. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Lynn.
Mine was kind of the opposite in some ways of Nick's substantial bands. Although I did feel a lot of, uh, yeah, like a carapace, I guess, maybe on my back a little bit. But when especially at the end, I felt a lot of internal tingling, like in the underside of my lips and throughout the mouth. It was like all of the whatever those little capillaries or whatever they would be were just like just fizzing, I guess. Which is I have had that a tiny bit before, but again, much more than I've ever had before. So that was cool.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Scott.
So I kind of mentioned this last week, but I have to mention it again. Well, yesterday I kind of overdid it at the gym, so my neck and my shoulders are really sore. But as I was doing it, whenever I could make sure that my head had that floaty feeling, everything disappeared except my feet, and I had lead feet. Pretty much everything else was gone. Once in a while, I would feel my hands like my feet, but uh, every time I got every time I got that floaty feeling, everything just went away. It was
Beautiful.
pretty cool. And then when you had us standing, we were just standing there and feeling things. This is the weirdest thing. It was like a pool ball of energy chi was going around my waist, and it was going around in one direction. And then when we stopped and did it again, it went the other way. It was
Wow.
really weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Valerie.
Well, it's funny because Nick mentioned having to look at his hand or his arm. I did too, because I was sure that they were now just iron and they were black or something. It's just like, wow, what? Yeah, just like Nick and Lynn mentioned, having inklings of this before, just inklings. And last week, it was just very similar to this week. And I'm glad you said, no words really to describe, because it's really hard to describe that completely when it's such a substantial and insubstantial thing at the same time.
Nice.
I don't know what else to say. It's just pretty remarkable, just following what you're saying and following those that intention of where we're going, what we're doing, and the difference that it can make is, it shouldn't surprise me, but it's still a surprise every time when it's so huge. And I love that. I love that it's shouldn't be surprising, but yet it is surprising. It's just like, wow, it's so cool. It's so great that we can still be surprised, or at least I can still be surprised.
Yeah,
It's
me
just
too.
like-
Yeah. I think that means we're doing it right.
Yeah, we hope so.
Anybody else? Jonathan.
So, we do this and you talk us through. So, and then we're watching you. So, we're really kind of paying attention with that part of our brain. But then when you said you're feeling something, you may not have words for it, which is right. I mean, because you can say it's tingling, you can start objectifying it, but that also puts you in another mindset. And I'm just thinking, so much of what you do, once you go away and we're on our own recreating it, it should be almost a much different kind of experience insofar as it becomes much more like meditation, like soft focus instead of, because we're kind of in a subject-object world with you as here's Rick, you're teaching us, you're giving us words, and we're all this. But the potential for it to be a more soft-focused meditation, like forget not knowing what the words are you have for it. Like, why are words coming in at all? This is not, there's an opportunity here to let go of classifying anything. And yet still, you're giving us, Shen, Hun, you're giving us things to focus. And I get that. And that's like almost like a minimal amount, if you will, of conceptualization, where it seems to me an extraordinarily powerful transformation of the whole way of being can be there if we don't get mix it in with too much subject object. Oh, my blood's flowing, localizing, and all of that. It just, it's like there's a reason I think you've got it down to 3 essentials points. And I just think in between those points, there can be a lot of no thinking and, soft focus. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to experimenting after I turn you off.
Yeah, my understanding of E is it's consciousness. It's the mind. And so it does identify things. It does say, oh, yes, this is my arm doing this. And even if it's not putting it into words, it's making those computations, which when you're in a superconscious state can happen simultaneously with the no thought. Because it's in that superconscious state, we are capable of so much more than our limited, rational mind can wrap around it. Rational mind says that's not possible. You can't think all those thoughts at once. Well, actually, maybe you can if you change your state of being. the more you move into the spirit realm, the more you access that aspect of your being, that insubstantial part, then it's like, what else is possible? Then you're able to, so you're able to, I know I do a lot of thinking when I'm doing forms and stuff like that. And I'm like feeling into stuff and saying, oh, what about this? And what about this? And so there's a dialogue there. That's the E part for me. So the Shen, initiates, and the E says, okay, this is what's going on here. And then Hun is like, oh, that's where I've just kind of like take it in, and probably that's where the meditative part there that you're talking about, that's where it happens for me. It's at that it's like just take it, feel it, and let that roll over me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Shen, the Hun, and that kind of feeling, it's a little different for me than saying, oh, well, now my blood's like, oh, my blood's tingling, or this or that. I don't know. It just seems, it seems the possibility is there to investigate it as a form of meditation, but maybe you're right. I mean, maybe just let all the words come in and let it build up from that. That's possible too, I guess. I don't know, because I mean, obviously it's going to be different when we're looking at the screen as we're doing it, and you're not there, and we're sort of doing it on our own.
No. From my perspective, it's an advanced form of meditation. It's the meditation of moving, and it's where we're controlling what aspect of our awareness that we are using at a given moment. And then we can, and that's kind of like the image of the I Ching, like the 64 trigrams. You got all kinds of possibilities that come out of the two, which come out of the
Yeah,
one.
but look, Rick, I get that. But if I say, look, oh, my blood's tingling or my hands are tingling, I've now localized something into a narrower subject-object thing. Whereas if I wasn't objectifying things, I don't know. Again, I have to practice it. This triple thing you've come up with without you, and then see. I don't know whether whether there's a mix with soft focus or not that makes it even more powerful.
Good. Richard, you had something.
With me, what seems to be happening is that the initiation of the three aspects has been allowing me to accumulate, to bring in much more chi.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, the middle part is, I'm very used to having very strong feelings in and around my hands. What I'm doing now is trying to take that feeling and spread it through my whole body.
Nice.
So I feel like I'm accumulating. And the next thing is to try to figure out some things to do with it.
Yeah.
Which I have kind of an idea about how that might work, but it's really new territory.
Great.
But
good.
That's something. It's
excellent.
It's something. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you have something, Lynn?
Oh, I thought maybe Debbie did before I do.
Oh, Debbie?
I was just thinking of how interesting and the sensations are, and I was thinking of what you said about eating the chi. I prefer absorbing the chi because I just can't. The vision for me is different, but I was trying to figure out the balance between absorbing the chi and being absorbed by the chi, because I felt like I guess that's just becoming really insubstantial. You're feeling the chi just take over, and I'm wondering if someone who was beginning would be able to handle that, and is that why some people have an issue with it? Because when you get absorbed by the chi too quickly, it's pretty. I could see how that would be disconcerting. But I think it's really amazing, the feelings.
Yeah, that's why we do it, kind of this gradual process, of developing and, and you you sit down at the table and you eat as much as, eat till you're full and then you let go. And then you come back and you have another meal. And and as long as you don't stop eating after having one good meal, you do it every day. And
Yeah,
that's
I was just thinking I was really glad that I didn't start, just try to start in with this part of it. We spent a long time developing the feeling and understanding the chi and everything. And if I had just jumped into it right now, I think I would be either I wouldn't feel it or else I would say, yeah, this is too much and go somewhere else. So I think I feel really lucky that we've been working for a while on this.
good, good. Lynn.
Well, Richard was talking about, all of it coming in. There was a point where I was just like, I can't put words to, I can't figure out which of these feelings is Shen, Hung. I'm just having a ton of energy moving and I'm feeling it kind of inhering into me, which I think is the Hun. But I was kind of like, and who cares, right? Because I was like, let go of that, let go of thinking about that. Like I can't figure out which is which. I will in the future, or I won't need to, or whatever. But because otherwise the mind gets in there trying to fix things. So anyway, that's my experience.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. The language is there to help you. It's a guide. And,
Clearly it works.
I find it a useful concept. So good. Nick, you had something.
Yeah, so I just want to go back a little bit when I was listening to what Valerie was saying and Jonathan's remarks and what you said intent to clarify some things. It can all happen at once.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the point, I think, in the end, is that it's like, my first reaction when the substantiality of what I was feeling was like, oh, wow, what the heck, and then it was like, oh, okay, just relax and enjoy this. And I'm still feeling it and I'm still acknowledging that it's there, but I'm not trying to figure it out or name it or do other stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just enjoying the experience. And I'm aware of all those parts of the experience without having to separate them out and give them each a name. They're just all they are the experience. That's the sum total of the thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I was kind of trying to say too. Yeah.
Good. Great. Okay. Valerie.
I know we're going over. I'm just going to throw this out there as well. I agree with what Nick just said, that for me, I wasn't having a problem like objectifying anything. I was in the experience, and usually my brain does kick in and want to know, okay, well, what is this part and what is that part? And I don't want to say it was so big, because that's not exactly it. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was big without being overwhelming. That's what I want to say. And just I couldn't help but just be in the experience. There was no trying to figure it out, which is my normal MO. And so I appreciated that very much, very much.
Beautiful.
To oversimplify it, there's nothing there, but I can sure as hell feel something.
It's more of a nothing than a something.
It is.
Okay, one last thing. Jonathan, you had something to add to the...
Yeah, again, what I'm talking about, soft focus is its own thing, okay? And it's not that other things won't arise to that. I mean, Zen people don't sit there with blank minds, but they do sit there with eyes not completely focused on objects, they don't close their eyes, they're not interior, they're not exterior focused on objects.
Right.
So I'm just offering the experiment when Rick was not here teaching us, we're not looking at the screen and all this, of what a kind of a soft focus would be with this movement. Because I agree, it's much more, because I've done a lot of sitting meditation. This moving meditation is much more interesting. But you can combine the two. But that does say, well, what would soft focus be like as you're doing it? Your eyes aren't, grabbing objects and subjects, and you're not identifying objects and subjects. You're just in a soft focus mode, but still feeling this amazing energy coming in a soft focus mode. I don't know. I haven't really done much of it. So
well, it's an opportunity to explore. So
Yeah.
and we're exploring at the far reaches of insubstantiality while we're doing
Right.
it, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
And having a framework, a theoretical framework to express that is actually, for me, it's a comfort, to have that say, okay, this is what's going on, and then say, oh, good. So within these parameters, these are the experiences, and you get to play and create cool stuff, and then we change the parameters and we have something new. Then we go into what else is possible. So thank you all so much. It's been a lot of fun, and thank you all. Thank you so much for your comments, and thank you, producer. Sorry for
Thank
going.
you.
Thank you. Love you, Maria.
Bye.
Bye bye.